Welcome to the Wheat's on Your Mind podcast. My name is Arron Harries. Wheat's on Your Mind is brought to you by the Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. My guests on this episode of the podcast are Tammy McClellan and Stephen Graham. Tammy McClellan is the Manager of Donor Relations for the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation. Stephen Graham is former Assistant to the Dean of Ag for the College of Agriculture at Kansas State University, and he was an administrator for the Kansas Wheat Commission in 1981 through 1995. Well, we're here today to talk about the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation. We're reaching towards the end of the year here, and people might be thinking about charitable giving. So we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation is. Tammy, please tell us.
Sure. We have been in existence since 2012. What we do is allow producers, other people interested in wheat research, companies, cooperatives, other foundations to further wheat research by contributing, and this is money beyond the checkoff dollars that goes to research. So we started at zero in 2012, and our assets now have grown to over $6 million, which is very exciting. I've done this work with you since 2016.
Yes.
Very rewarding to grow a new foundation and see it thrive and see people really take an interest in furthering wheat research in the public sector.
We've never really had a vehicle in place outside of the checkoff, which is 2 pennies per bushel, and obviously farmers only pay that. We've never had a vehicle in place for, like you said, landlords or bankers or milling companies or baking companies to support wheat research, and that's why the Wheat Commission Research Foundation was started. And no coincidence, it started with the building of the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center here in Manhattan, Kansas also, which opened in December of 2012. And as you mentioned, Tammy, the foundation has raised quite a bit of money already, and where the checkoff is used towards international marketing, domestic marketing, and research, our foundation is just dedicated to wheat research. And Tammy, you've seen the variety of donors that give to this foundation, and they're all really passionate about wheat research, aren't they?
They are, for different reasons. It's really exciting for me. I've had some great experiences with our donors. We have some individuals who their family heritage is in wheat production. The Veneer family obviously comes to mind. They were gracious and donated our lead gift to our Fields Forward campaign, which ironically started about the week that COVID
Exactly
hit.
The same week, yeah.
But the Veneers had the lead gift in that, $1 million. The family, the grandfather had this mill in Salina, Western Star Mill, and it was eventually purchased by ADM. So their family legacy, part of it does come from wheat production and milling, and it was really great to see that. But I mean, the other thing is we have donors from all over the world. We have a family where they're from Pawnee Rock, Kansas, and the daughter who directs a lot of the giving lives in London. She and I met. It was the most interesting donor meeting I've ever had. I was on vacation, and we met at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, and she had a 2-year-old son with her. We just talked about it was like making a new friend from Kansas. And so very gracious to Jen Ladwig and her husband Walter for their support also. One of my other favorite individuals, it is amazing. Everybody thinks that companies are the biggest donors, and we have some very supportive milling and baking companies, other corporate support. But individuals in this country make up the largest amount of charitable giving. And we've had some amazing, amazing donors. We have a woman from the central part of the state who got a letter from us because they were involved in banking, and we did a project with ag bankers in the state. She responded, and we had just a nice telephone visit. She's become one of our larger donors over the years, and we're just so grateful for that support. And that's where Stephen comes in too, as an individual donor. He and Sherry, his wife, have been very gracious to support us for a long time.
And Stephen, obviously you're passionate about wheat, dedicating a large part of your career towards it. And what do you see about the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation that encourages you to support it?
Well, I think it's so neat that the producers started this themselves and were focused on research. having, worked with the researchers for years, both when I was here at the commission and then came with Kansas Wheat and then later at the university, I know how complicated the research is and how long it takes and how many people it takes and how much money it takes to come up with one new variety after years of work. It's just amazing. So this is our little way of helping, get a new variety. We both love wheat. We start out with wheat, usually something in our cereal for breakfast, and then some bread or a sandwich at lunch, and something else with wheat in often at dinners. It's a big part of people's lives worldwide. Rice and wheat are the most consumed food grains in the world, and it's just huge. So we wanted to be a part of this since we're in Kansas, the wheat state.
And we certainly appreciate it. You hit on a great point there, Stephen. Research, like everything else, is not immune to inflation either. The price to pay for researchers' salaries and those projects continues to go up, and they're worthy of the pay, by the way, do excellent work. But the Kansas Wheat Commission spends about $1.5 million every year on research from checkoff dollars, and this is foundation funds, or the goal is to kind of supplement that. And Tammy, there's different areas of giving that donors or prospects can give to. With that Fields Forward campaign, we've kind of designated different fields of research, fields of the future. Tell us about some of those designated giving areas.
Sure. One of the large expenses we have is our building. We have 2 research greenhouses that take a lot to maintain, one that actually is air conditioned so it can be used year round. So some of our funds go towards maintaining and upgrading and keeping our equipment top notch. We do lease some facilities to Kansas State researchers in this building, plant pathology, agriculture. The College of Agriculture researchers use our building. So the building itself, those researchers also have research teams. They have graduate students and undergraduate students that they need to pay to do research. One thing people don't understand about wheat research right now is how labor intensive it is. If they ever want to come and book a tour with us, we would be glad to show them around.
Absolutely.
And it is incredibly labor intensive to do the breeding of the plants. And so these researchers, the students, put in a lot of time and hours. Also, the professors take them to different competitions to present their research that they do. Some of our funds go to support the teamwork with the professors. And then we have current research projects. Once a year, we take in proposals. They have to pertain to wheat. I've actually been asked that before. It has to pertain to wheat.
Yes.
And we have a committee that reviews the research proposals and decides how to spread that funding around. Sometimes they're multi-year proposals. The goal in the end is to increase the profitability of Kansas wheat farmers. And probably that's one of the reasons I love this work the most, because I'm married to a Kansas wheat farmer. I am a Kansas wheat farmer. My father-in-law was on the Kansas Wheat Commission when they made their first vote to start putting funding into research. So it's a nice, for us, family tradition to be involved in research. We help to support that. That brings up another line of giving. We help to support that when we're not here anymore with a legacy gift, Mike and I. So that's something we're putting into work and plans now as we move forward. We're getting ready to realize a nice gift from an individual donor, unfortunately, who he and his wife passed away very close together. But that is something we'd like people to think about. Sometimes it's hard to provide for the gift with current cash flow, especially for family farms. But if they would like to acknowledge the work we've done in research with a gift at the end of their life, we can help them talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know what the number is, but there's billions of dollars of wealth being transferred from generation to generation right now in the United States.
Oh, just in the state of Kansas.
Just in the state of Kansas. And yeah, so we hope people who are passionate about wheat will consider it. So, Stephen, since you've got that long background in the wheat industry, and we talk about research and the ebb and flow of research, and there are private companies and public universities. What does it mean, the importance to you of having a strong public breeding program in the state of Kansas?
One of the things I realized, working here for a while, was that wheat and also sorghum, given the yield, what you earn on it, where it's grown out there, where it's drier, where it's struggling, those crops are not earning as much money. So you don't see the private companies often investing in those sorts of breeding things. There are a few, but not very many. It's not like corn and soybeans or some other things like that. Over the years, we've seen private companies come in and then go out, in and out of wheat breeding. But all along, you had the public going, K-State, Oklahoma State, others in the region, breeding hard red winter wheat and hard white wheat, then eventually also. They're the ones that hang in there year to year to year. So it's really, really important. The other thing to say is, yes, the state provides some support, kind of basics, but not enough. So that's another reason that there's a checkoff. That's another reason there's a foundation, because it just takes so much to make all this happen. And it really is going to be up to the public breeders, sure, for years to come. One other important aspect that we're all realizing now with this drought impacting us is the pressure on the wheat breeders, the poor wheat breeders. Yes, you have to breed for yield, you have to breed for quality, you have to breed for disease resistance and insect resistance, and now we've had to add drought resistance, and it's been a while they've added it, but I mean, still it's becoming more and more and more important. As our Ogallala keeps declining, it's going to be up to wheat and sorghum. So we've got to have a strong breeding program that puts all these quality factors in and makes it work when we don't have as much rain or intermittent rains as we used to. It's really important.
Yeah, great point there, Stephen. And there's a saying, make hay while the sun shines, and the sun is really shining on wheat research right now. I know both of you have heard me say we are entering the golden age of wheat research here. We've been, I guess, modern wheat breeding has been going on for maybe 150 years now, if you can call it that. But now with the technology we have available, the map of the wheat genome, gene editing, things like that, the funds that we can raise through this foundation really are able to supplement us at a time when we really need to maximize that effort in wheat research. Tammy, let's talk about the ways that people can donate to the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation. I mean, you've talked about legacy gifts and cash, but there are other ways too.
Yeah, non-cash gifts are often a great alternative for donors because they get a better tax advantage. I don't pretend to know all the rules. So I say talk to your advisor and figure out what is the best for you. We've accepted some really interesting things. We've accepted gifts of grain. Mm-hmm. We like to joke around that actually one of our grain gifts came in the form of soybeans.
Yes, we'll take soybeans too.
Yeah, there are a lot of rules when you do that, but there's only one really important rule when you donate grain, and that is don't sell the grain in your own name. Most likely going to deliver it to an elevator. When you deliver it, you're going to put it in an account that we've set up to make that donation. So you don't sell the grain yourself, you deliver the grain and have it put into your account, and then the grain is transferred to our account. So we can help you walk through that. We can call the elevator you're going to use, set up an account if we don't have one already, and make that happen. But that's a better tax advantage for donors. Non-cash gifts like gifts of stock, we'll get the appreciated value of the stock, but you won't have to pay the bump if you just do the stock instead of selling the stock and giving us cash. So, we have some people who can help us navigate that. We do a lot of work with the Hutchinson Community Foundation. And when we accept gifts of stock, they help us take that in and convert it to cash, obviously, for us. We've talked to people about gifts of land. There's a lot to talk about if you're interested in donating a piece of land. What does a donor want? That's always my question. What's important to you as a donor? Is it important that crop ground be kept in production and the benefits of the cash that comes off of those crops benefit us? Is it land that you want to see sold when you're gone and the cash comes to us? There's all kinds of options, but when we sit down and talk to donors about different types of gifts, I'm really interested in what they want to see.
People sometimes overlook RMDs, required minimum distributions.
Great, thank you. Is it at age 71 and a half or so that you're required to, if you have a 401k, that you take a required minimum distribution, and we have people direct their RMD to our foundation. Stephen's sitting here, he does that. Yeah, that's one of the things you can think about doing and giving to your favorite charities too. We have some different services we can offer to our donors. One is sitting down with a financial advisor estate planner. That's available through the Hutchinson Community Foundation. He doesn't develop your estate plan for giving or your charitable donations. He just helps talk through how to set your goals for that and how to decide maybe how you want that to look. And then he'll give you a plan to take to your own advisors.
To your own attorney, and they'll make that happen.
And we offer that at no cost to our donors.
Yeah, that's through the Hutchinson Community Foundation.
Those appointments can also be done over Zoom or in person.
Great. And we should say we do provide recognition for donors here in the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center. And again, please, this is the home of the Kansas Wheat Farmer in Manhattan. We're just located north of the Bill Snyder Family Football Stadium, but we have a wall in the entryway to recognize our donors of all different categories. We have naming rights here in the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center that we can talk about, and we really I appreciate walking in every morning, coming to work, and seeing the variety, the diversity of those donors, and it shows you the passion for Kansas wheat and wheat research on different segments of the industry. So, Stephen, any final words of encouragement or advice to those who live and breathe wheat and might want to support wheat research?
I think you just always need to keep the long view and realize it takes a long time to do this work. We started funding the creation of hard white wheat soon after I went to work at the Wheat Commission in 1982. Took a while to even create it, and then later work through all the marketing challenges and stuff. But now we have areas of the state where they grow it. You have separate elevators where they bin it and sell it separately, keep it separate. You got to remember that this doesn't happen overnight. It takes many years of work and investment to make these sort of things happen. And but at the same time, it's fun. It's fun to watch it evolve, watch us learn how our wheat's used. One thing we learned was how it was used in noodles in Asia. We had no idea when we started that research work. And in Asia, they're eating noodles, not bread so much. We figured out what our wheat worked well in and what types of noodles are all different types of noodles. It was just fascinating. So keep that in mind. It's a long game, but it's a fun one, and help support this work that benefits our state and you all so much.
And that long game is working. We've seen the dividends and better yields and better genetics. This 2024 crop behaved better than it should have, given what the drought was, and a lot of that is credit to genetics. Well, if you want more information about giving to the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation, our website is fieldsforward.org. And Tammy, if they want to reach out to you, how did they do that?
A couple of different ways. On our website, there's my contact information. You can even call me. My phone number's on there, I believe. You can also call the Wheat Innovation Center and leave a message for me, and I'll get back with you. We love to talk to people who are interested in what we do, and it is a long game too. We share our story. It's really not difficult once you find that you have a mutual interest that you want to support research. So we're not out there trying to ask people who aren't interested in the work we do. We're very specific. We're a research foundation. So we're really happy to show people what we do. And boy, once they come here and they see the work that's being done, it tells a story of its own.
And, give us some names, Tammy and myself, if a farmer's listening, if you've got out-of-state landowners that are still passionate about wheat, they're also should be considered for support of this. Well, Stephen and Tammy, thank you for being here. Thank you for your support of wheat research. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Tammy McClellan and Stephen Graham for joining us on this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the Kansas Wheat Commission Research Foundation, visit fieldsforward.org. And if you have a question or topic you'd like to follow up with, email us at kswheat@kswheat.com. I'm Arron Harries. Thanks for listening.